Hey guys, can confirm that you can see me and hear me. I would appreciate a remark about that in the chat. That's good to hear, JD, that the Plano show was good. That is excellent. Excellent. A long time, obviously. Thank you, Count. I appreciate that. You cannot take anything for granted. It's miraculous that we can do these streams like this. Miraculous, but it is complicated stuff. It is complicated. Question about it. Glad that it's Todd Armstrong. Does that wave mean that everything is good on your end? No, duck, duck. That's right, James. What would we do without the duck to joke about? Almar, good to see you here, sir. How are you? I'm not gonna the formal part of the presentation to the extent there's a formal part. Um, no, that was kind of weird. Um, okay, let's see. Else join. I wanted to apologize for the appearance of my workbench over here. I really was scrambling to get some stuff ready for the show tonight, and so I didn't get a chance to clean up. And I spent all day here yesterday. I think to Rose's friend, she didn't say anything. I was here all day working to get something ready for this show, having a lot of fun doing it. But really, I was here from about noon till 8 p.m. yesterday working on a thing that I'm going to show you. And and then when I got here tonight, after crossing a major thing off my honeydew list at the house, I had to finish that project. Still had a few things to do, and it's not quite done. Hey, Joe Rader, how are you doing? Good to see you, sir. Welcome aboard. So, James, you're saying you cannot see my video. Can anybody else confirm that everything is okay, that they have audio and video from me on the stream? That it's only a James Galton issue? Let me know. Make sure everybody can see my video. Ray Bobel, good to see you, sir. Tom Grassi, how are you doing, Tom? Thanks for those regular live streams, Tom. I don't know how you do it once a week. That is just crazy. Hey, Russ at the Rockin' O. Good to see you, sir. Welcome aboard. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you confirming that, Joe Rader. Just want to make sure loud and clear from Dwight. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Good, good. Thank you all. Sorry, James, you may be the Lone Ranger on this. Oh, what's going on? Because it sounds like Mr. Dalton cannot see me but only hear me. And some would say that's an ideal situation. They don't have to look at me. I was told at one point I had a face for radio, good voice for radio, and a face for radio. so, so we'll see. But at any rate, I don't keep a totally neat desk, but this is certainly messier than I normally have it. You know, paint's everywhere. I was just scrambling trying to get color onto models, and it was crazy. It was crazy yesterday, but productive. You know, sometimes you get into that flow where everything's clicking, and even when I hit roadblocks, you know, I couldn't find flesh colored paint. Well, I found enough components to mix up some flesh colored paint. So Chuck Schreiber, Welcome aboard, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. So before we get started with the stream proper, I'm going to tell you all a quick story. And if I've told this story before, and certainly an old guy like me is capable of trying to tell stories repeatedly, just tell me to shut up. Tell me to stop telling this. But right now, the Bears are playing, and my son is a Bears fan. And why is he a Bears fan? Because we went to the NMRA Nationals one time by train, and we went through Chicago. And he was probably in sixth or seventh grade, just about that time when, your parents are totally uncool, right? And I load him onto a train with me. It's just he and I, and we're going to Chicago and spending the night in Chicago. And then in the morning, we're catching a train to Detroit, go to the Detroit NMRA Nationals. And he gets on the train with me. He's not happy about it. And he's calling his mother, trying to get her to come pick him up. He's panicking. He just, you know, hates this thing, hates this, and he's super cool, so much cooler than me, and super smart, so much smarter than me. And so, his mother says, just stick it out, gut it out. Well, the Porters took a liking to him. I mean, he's a mixed race kid. Porters were all black guys. They took a real interest in Blake. My son's name is Blake. They started treating him great. And he just loved the trip, right? We were in a roomette, so it was first class. So we got seated, order anything off the menu, seated whenever we want for dinner because you're first class when you get a roomette. And so he just ate that up. He loved the trip, loved it. We get to Chicago. He loves Chicago. We go to the Palmer House, Hilton. I had reservations at Palmer House, pretty fancy hotel. And our hotel was pretty much booked. And our room had been flooded. There'd been a leak above our room. And so they had to put us in the presidential suite, it was called. It was just an amazing room. Views of Lake Michigan, a big living room, dining area. It was just incredible. We were only going to be there a few hours, it was really a shame. But he just fell in love with Chicago, adopted the Bears as his team. So while he is not a sports fan at all, if he's watching a game, it very well could be the game that's going on right now with the Bears. It's the Rams at the Bears, if I'm not mistaken. And so all that to get to the NMRA Nationals, which were excellent. So I highly recommend getting a roomette if you're going to go on Amtrak and you afford it. It's nice to have that private little room and to be in first class. Just incredible. Now, of course, north south. Okay, Mike. I think AI would make me look a lot better than I look now, right? Although, I got to tell you guys, it is, and gals, if there are any gals out there, it's pretty damn cold out there in Pittsburgh right now, but it is warm here in the shop. I'm overdressed, maybe the computer and all these monitors and things working. It's, I don't know, but it is really warm here in the shop right now. So feels good. Feels good. Angry Yank, I don't remember seeing you here before. Sorry if you're a regular and I don't recognize you, but it's good to see you. Uh, I am a Yankee through and through. I had a relative who was wounded at the Battle of Lexington or Concord, I can't remember which one, during the Revolutionary War. Served out the entire war in the Continental Army at the rank of private, so he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. So I'm a Yankee through and through, I'm sorry to say, and a patriot. I could be a son of the American Revolution. Wanted to, my brother is in that. Dave at DB Tech, hello, sir. How are you doing? Boy, that channel artwork is really great, Dave. I have to compliment really nice channel art. So it's 8 o'clock, so we can start kicking this off. And I am super excited about tonight's show because I'm super excited about my progress on my layout in terms of my ideas. But I'm going to want your help vetting those ideas, making sure it makes sense. Do you think it makes sense? Um, very funny, Dave. And so I'm really eager to have that happen. To have your comments about my concepts here. I'm putting my keyboard aside so I have room to display things. I'm doing a couple of new technology things here tonight. One of them is I've got my cell phone set up taking pictures of my desktop, and that's one of the cameras on Prism Live. So I'm going to be able to show you some things on my desktop, and if I have the temerity, and I'm not Rick Foltz, who has the bravery to do live stream, and John, of course, and Ray too. I mean, all the other Sidetrack Sunday guys are fearless. Dave, of course, always doing live demos. I've never done a live demo, so there might be a reason for that. But I'm capable of doing it now, at least with technology. So, kind of the sequence of events here is you all are used to me philosophizing about the hobby and modeling. And I've got two kind of philosophy type subjects to talk about with you at the start of the show here. Hello, Mason Dixon. I think it's Alan. Sorry, I'm not looking at my list, but hello, Mason Dixon. I know you were one of the winners of our drawing for year-end prizes, and I've gotten your stuff out to you. So everybody who got a mug or a apron, and who was a listener, who's not a Sidetrack Sunday presenter, I've dispatched your prizes to you. So it's in the hands of USPS, which of course Tom Grassi would say is a very chancy thing. But at any rate, they're all out there in the U.S. mail, as are the mugs for Ray and the Count. But I still have to finish up the rest of those shipments. I've got a few more shipments to Okay, Sparky. I am going to show you ideas for bench work, but your layout is pretty well advanced. But I've got a unique set of problems for my bench work. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But thank you, Sparky. That gets me back on track. I've got two kind of philosophical things to talk to you about how to be more productive. And then I'm going to get into my New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to show you my progress. If you want to, okay, Angry Yankee, you say you got 7 models in total to finish. What does that mean? Are they in various states of completion? Are they for a layout? Are they static models? I am a static modeler also. So tell me what that is. That sounds like fun, Mason Dixon. Yeah, just let fellow from the Canadian Logistics Channel set you up on that remote control. Yeah. So we're going to do philosophical things. Then we're going to get into my progress on my resolutions, which I'm very excited about my progress so far conceptually on getting my layout built. But I want to vet that idea with you all. And then I'll show you my progress on my ice house. I've got a new model of that, and I may even build that. Okay, Angry Yank, you're a car modeler. That tells me you know how to paint and finish. That's tough stuff. Good on you. Good on you. That's right, Russ. So that's what we've got on track today. So let me change the view here. And Let me pull up a picture here. Okay, so I talked previously about some ideas that come out of this Small Subjects podcast. And anybody who's into modeling, armor modeling, figure modeling, hey, even you, Angry Yank, would probably enjoy what these guys do on this channel. It's very interesting. And one of the shows they had recently was about how to get satisfaction out of the hobby. And they had a couple of things that, at least on the surface, sounded pretty revolutionary. But I don't think they are that revolutionary. So the first one was, you don't have to get better at doing anything. Your objective should not be to get better at doing scenery or wiring or whatever it is. Your objective should be to have fun. Now, obviously, you have to reach a certain core level of competency in order to practice the hobbies, but you don't have to be good at everything. You can reach a certain level of success at something and say, that's it. I really enjoy doing scenery, let's say. So I'm not going to perfect signaling and wiring on my layout. Sound like Trackside Mike, maybe, right? Loves to do scenery. He's great at scenery. He's good at some other things, but he probably is really focusing on scenery because that's what gives him joy. So that's an important thing to do. And maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you enjoy running and you could care less about scenery. And I remember that Cat Mountain guy who never had any scenery, right? I don't know if he's still out there or not, but he, somewhere in Texas, had a really big layout. And he had cardboard scenery because it was all about running and operations. That was it. He didn't care about scenery. So he didn't spend a lot of time, money, or worry about scenery. Perfect. That's what you should do. Okay. This is a hobby. So focus on what you want and don't feel pressure to do too much of things that you don't want to do. I think that's a good observation. Good observation. Now, the other kind of shocking thing they said is you don't have to finish anything. Now, of course, they were talking about static modeling and not finishing a particular model. And their example was a guy who really liked to assemble kits, right? So he liked to glue the parts together. That was what he really enjoyed doing. And when he was done gluing it together and enjoying it, he would throw it out. He would never paint it or decal it because he enjoyed building. And so that's what he was doing, was building. So kind of cool. I think I like to finish models. Okay, there's nothing gives me more pleasure than finishing a model. But that's partly because I really enjoy painting and decaling. Hey, Happy Valley, good to see you. Ed, good to see you. Welcome aboard. Not sure who else I've missed. Oh, there's Steven at Wigwag Workshop. Hey, how are you doing? And Anthony, Model Train Outsider. Sorry, I may have missed you coming in here. And I have no excuse. I have two video presentations in the chat in front of me. How I could miss people, I'm not sure. But at any rate, so those are kind of those are interesting approaches to the hobby. Just keep that in mind. And we have a lot of people in this community. It's hard to finish a layout. And honestly, that's only a momentary joy. You've got to, hey, Midsummer, good to see you there. Wigwag, you're saying Craftsman kits? You like building Craftsman kits. Yeah, so focus on that, right? Those are really cool, Craftsman kits. Do what gives you joy. Do what gives you joy. And focus on that. Now, there may be a few things you got to do. Like, I feel like I've got to get running trains. I've got to start building scenery on a layout instead of just dioramas and that sort of thing. But I'm making a lot of compromises about my layout. And we'll talk about that when we talk about my plan for bench work. But as you all have already heard, it's going to be cold rail, finger flick switches. There'll be no automated switches because I just want to be able to run trains through scenery to start. Maybe work a little operations in later, maybe not. You know, because I don't have a lot of experience with operations. However, I have been invited to my first operating session in February, which is going to be fantastic. The guy in my, I'll get his YouTube channel and I'll share it with you guys um, soon. But hoping it doesn't day for presentation. But if it does, I may have to make. I do want to do this operating. Guy has an O gauge layout, narrow gauge layout, completely done, seen it. He just transported it from Tennessee, Pittsburgh. Gonna be cool. Yes, Alan and Mason Dixon. I hear you. Yeah, I've got a long haul to go with my space here. You know, as you may have seen, this space was a complete disaster. Moldy, just it was terrible. It was unbelievable how much work I put in. So at any rate, so I think those are some pretty good observations, things that we should keep in mind here. Now, let me see what I had in. Yes. So on a related note, I did have, and I only have, I think I have 14 participants, yeah, 14 votes when I did this. Feel free to go onto my channel and track this down if you want to cast your vote. But this was a vote about when you're building railroad related models, this kind of to give me feedback about how to design the model kits that I want to sell. What is the most important thing to you? Finishing and painting was the first one. That's me. I like that. That was only 21% of the vote. Assembly was 57%. Customizing was 21%. So that's an interesting split. So if you like building kits and you like putting them together, put them together. And I will say, I think it was Steve 87th. It was somebody in our community who did a post where they had assembled 3 structure kits. And they said, I might not paint them. And you know what? That's great. That is just great. If you don't want to paint them, they look okay. They look fine. Put them on the layout and be done with it. You enjoyed the assembly process. I think it was. Sorry if I got that wrong, but it's a good example of what I'm talking about here. Focus on what it is that you want. Now, I don't have. Let me go back to change my view here. Now, I don't have any graphics for this, but book that I'm currently reading before I go to sleep at night is this one. And it's a series of essays. So manage your day to day, build your routine, find your focus, sharpen your creative mind. Now, you know, it's not focused on model railroaders, but it's focused on anybody who creates for a living. And so while we don't create for a living, most of us, I think there's still some observations and good things we can get out of a book like this. Forgive me if I read to you, but the opening quote here, and it's from Anthony Trollope, a 19th century writer, is this: a small daily task, if it be really daily, will beat the labors of a spasmodic Hercules. So, frequency. You should be getting to your bench, doing something on your layout every day, every other day. You should have a schedule, and you're getting in there and doing it frequently. And there's a couple of reasons. Um, the first one, and one of the most significant for me, frankly, is that it's easier to start every day. Because there's a lot of things, for example, that I had to learn about 3D printing that I can easily forget. By not using them, especially working with the Blender software to do 3D design, whew, not easy not easy to keep that in mind. So, man, I mean, I'm actually getting hot here. Hey, turn on the AC or open the window. Crazy. So it's easier to start if you're doing something. Now I get it. I'm effectively retired, and so I can practice the hobby every day, and I do. But um, okay, modeling Steel and HO. Hello there. I do not recognize you, sir. Welcome aboard. And I'm wondering, Delrin, I think that's some flexible stuff, and that couldn't glue that with CA. I don't know what you used to do Delrin to get. Honestly, hopefully somebody out here. Ed, you want to learn weathering? Well, go for it. I'd go to a train show and buy a bunch of cheap cars and have at it. I did that one year. I haven't used them for my weathering exercise yet, but I do have that. It was like, $5 for 30 or 40 shells. Plenty of stuff to weather, and then you can practice. So ideas stay fresh. You can restart quickly. You keep the enthusiasm going. If you're working a day job, getting to the bench every day reminds you that you do have a life beyond that. Frankly, something that might even be more important to you psychologically, um, almost spiritually, than working. And so it's really important every day to have that time for you, spending time with your family, taking care of the homestead, doing work, probably after hours, putting in overtime. 15 minutes for you isn't asking too much. Um, Another thing about frequency is it keeps the pressure off. You know you're making progress. And so you're not feeling bad about reaching your New Year's resolution, for example. And Ray Bobel has been making a ton of progress on his layout. So I hope those were on your resolution list, Ray. And if you can tell us in the comments how you're doing, that would be great. Um, and you're going to get more done if you go to the bench every day. Okay, you're going to nibble your way through those big projects. You're going to be surprised how much you actually get done if you get to the bench every day, if you get onto the layout every day and do. And of course, 15 minutes can often easily become 30, 45, an hour, and you really enjoyed yourself. You've made a lot of progress. You're going to go to work the next day really refreshed. And you'll be thinking about your layout and your projects, and you'll feel good. You'll be a better employee and more productive employee as well. So, really, so frequency is important. Setting a schedule and making sure that you're doing it every day. You're practicing the hobby. Oh, that's right, Ed. You have that late night. That is tough, but you don't work 24/7. I'm sure you're making progress in some of your projects. Thank you. That's right, Alan. Commit to 10 minutes. Whatever happens after that is a bonus, but it will be more than 10, right? It just automatically happens that way because you start enjoying yourself and feeling good. So it is good. So, those are, I'll get off my bandwagon now and my philosophizing, and I appreciate you all sticking with me on that. But okay, so Ray said, because Ray has been, taking out a sledgehammer, breaking out parts of his layout, getting ready to rebuild, big, big stuff. Well, okay. Speaking of big stuff, I'm going to start talking about my layout build now. And the first thing I needed was a plan. Now, let's be realistic. This is a really big layout that I'm building. Okay, I've got 168-foot mainline run, one level. So I've got to build it, and it's basically a dog bone. So I've got to build 80 to 100 feet of bench work. That's that's because it's both sides. So except for the end loops. So that's a lot of bench work. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time. And it will come as no shock to you, just looking at me, because he's a lot better looking than I am, that I am not James Galton. Okay? I am not a master carpenter. And in line with some of the things that I just talked about, I don't get a lot of joy out of carpentry. James obviously does. Very good at it, loves that stuff. I can do it. I'm remodeling this whole freaking building. I've got to do a lot of carpentry, but I don't get any joy out of it. Not really why I'm in the hobby. And one of the points of, and this is what I said I was going to bring you up about, James. Carpentry is not my thing. I have most of the tools I need to do carpentry, but it doesn't give me a lot of joy. Sorry, I got some poking me here. And I got a Sasquatch decal that my wife got put on my. But so I started thinking to myself, what can I do to short circuit the benchwork building process? Because I want to get trains running by the end of the year. That means I need to build all that bench work. So what can I do to short circuit that? And for several nights, I really brainstormed. I'd lay in bed before I go to sleep. That's when I have a lot of creative thoughts. And you love the smell of sawdust in the morning time. Good for you. Yeah, I do. I like working with wood, but not my the reason I'm in the hobby. And so, nor isn't James's, obviously, but it's an important part, and he's got a layout to be proud of because of those carpentries. But as much as I'd love to have a layout like that, that's time and money that I don't want to spend. So I started trying to figure out how to elevate the layout. Figure I'm going to have to build kind of classic bench work to put the track on to have a backdrop, but I could save money and time elevating the layout off the floor. And I bumped through a lot of ideas, and I ran a bunch. I mean, being a member of Sidetrack Sunday, you've got to appreciate, is a fantastic resource because I can run ideas by them. James, I'll be glad to talk to you, but wait till you see what I'm proposing. But I know you can mass produce things and all this, but it's still expensive, still a lot. So I've got a relatively unique idea. And hey, I got to be honest with you. I like to be different. I like to do things differently. I'm an iconoclast, I guess you would say. And so plastic horses to hold up. So Dwight, you use plastic horses to hold up your sawhorses to hold up your layout? Awesome. That's the kind of idea I'm talking about. So I bounced a bunch of ideas off of the STS guys, and I eventually came up with this. And that is a 55-gallon drum, 1/20th scale 55-gallon drum, being held in the hand of a guy with a central train. But that's a 1/20th scale model of a 55-gallon. Now, these drums are available $5 each. That's right, $5 each. Where they're used, they put the chemicals in here that make foam insulation. And they draw out of this to spray foam insulation. When they're done, these barrels are basically done. But I'm hoping that they will still have a residue of insulation in them because that will help deaden the sound. So that's $5 each if you buy them singly. I'll have to buy 18 to 20 of them. Maybe I'll get them down to $4. I don't know. And I'll have to see what kind of condition they're in. So I'm going to be buying 2 of these probably Tuesday to that's right, Todd. So I want to use these steel drums to hold up my layout. I'll put something on the bottom of them to help deaden sound and not mark up the concrete floor of my shop. And we'll talk in a minute about how I'm gonna put the bench work on top of that. What trackball am I using? Did you mean trackball, Ed? I'm not sure. At any rate, here's another one. You need to have 2 of these things on here for demonstration purposes. But again, I'm going to need 18, and I'll show you my layout plan. I know I've shown that before. This time I will show you where I'm going to put all the drums. So I'm very excited about this. Now it's going to take some time, and before we add another component to this, let's talk a little bit more about the drums. So they're 35, and I think they're like 34.5 inches tall. If I put a 6-inch dimensional lumber on there, and oh, I see. It's an off-brand. It's a PERIXX trackball. I love trackballs. I love trackballs. Yeah, it looks a little bit like a Logitech, but it's not. And I'm not much of a typist. Uh, my old man, when I was offered a typing class in high school, and I asked my old man, a man about it, he said, "Forget that. You're going to have a secretary. You don't need to know how to type." So I didn't take it. And when I graduated law school, I actually had a secretary who typed for me for 1 year. And she was gone, and I had to do my own typing for the rest of my career. So, and I tried all kinds of dictation solutions and stuff like that. Right. Yeah, I might put some leg levelers on there, James. I'm still trying to. I haven't figured exactly out how I'm going to put the drums on the floor, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to add some weight to these drums. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna put a 50-pound bag of concrete poured in there, or and again, now this is STS talk here. I could put just aggregate in there, put gravel in there, because these things have got a little bunghole in there, but it's not very big. Maybe I can pop the top off the cans. I'll have to see. They may or may not be built to allow that, and of course, the insulation inside may have effectively glued the lid down to the point that I can't get the tops off. I get the tops off, it's going to be easy to just pour some pea gravel in there or something. And yeah, there you go, John Benicki. Hey, good to see you, John. I didn't see you come in. That's right. I wish I'd taken typing. I didn't. I'm a 2-finger typist. Miserable. So I'm going to add some weight to these barrels for them to sit on the floor. I think that'll obviously make the entire layout more stable, and it'll help reduce sound. There is going to be a sound problem coming at it. So, yeah, it won't be fun, Al. And Al, I'll probably be loading them outside, and I am going to buy one of those dollies that you use to move the barrels around. But once they're in position, yeah, that's kind of the point. They won't be going anywhere. Now, one thing I did think about recently as I was contemplating executing on this is what the hell are my kids or my wife going to do when I'm gone and they're confronted with moving 20 barrels that weigh 75 pounds? I think I have to take them to the dump and price. Hire somebody with a truck. Um, but what is it? 1,000 pounds? And it's not unmovable. Not unmovable. So at any rate, so that's my thought. So you got a 35-inch drum. You put 6x wood, at least where it crosses the cans, so that you get 6 inches of height. And then you've got foam insulation on top of that, which is another 3 inches. You got about 9, so your layout height's going to be in the 45-inch range. Uh, you know, I don't know if that's I wanted to be at 64, and instead it's at 45. So I could build a box that goes on top of each one of these cans and raises it up another, however high I want. Maybe another 6 inches, 50 inches. Maybe that would be good enough. Still thinking about that. That's why I'm going to get 2 cans this week. I'm going to disassemble the benchwork that I built previously. Just keep the framework and put it on top of the cans and see what I learned. So I 3D printed these barrels. So speaking of benchwork, so here's benchwork. So that's my idea. No, Deep Run, I'm sure they're not going to clean them out for me. They said it's it's totally safe, inert material in there. So yeah, well, that's a good point, Alan, about adjusting the height. So maybe James's point about putting some feet on these cans would be a good idea. Okay, Dave. Yeah, Todd, I was trying to 64 first, but it's going to cost me thousands to build the bench work to 64-inch height. I can get 20 of these cans for $100 max. I can get 20 bags, 50-pound bags of concrete for another $5. So I'm into this for $200. $200 would not get me any lumber. Now, I'm in a unique situation, okay? I get it. I'm not building a layout in my home. If, like James, who lives in a very nice house, by the way, he can't build something out of used drums. He's in a nice house, He's got to build to the standard of where he is. Alan at Mason-Dixon, right? He's building in his basement. Most people are building in their basement. Ray, in his basement. I get it. Well, yeah, James, I appreciate that using 4x4, but that's going to be expensive. It's going to be much more expensive than this. And it's also not going to be any different. I'm trying to do something novel and save myself some money. I have to build this out of wood. It's going to be expensive and take more time. Basically, I think maybe it'll take me a day to fill these things with concrete, maybe 2 days. And I will have 40-inch bench work done. 40 inches in, I'll be up 40 inches already. Good evening, Closet Branch. I don't know if that's a hello or a goodbye. If it's hello, hello. If it's good night, good night. So this is, this white area is the backdrop. I didn't get a chance to paint on some sky so you can see, because my layout again is going to be a dog bone. So I'm going to run trains on either side of a central divider for most of the layout length. So this is representative of kind of a straight section of the track. Now, on top of that, I'm going to lay 1/4-inch Luan plywood. And on top of the plywood, I'm going to put pink foam. So this represents the Luan plywood, and this represents the foam. So let me put this on the side closest. So I've got to admit I had fun. That's right, Dave. Yeah, it's going to be 18 inches on a straight section like this. This is 36 inches wide, so it's only 18 inches to get across. So it's okay, Russ. That sounds so. I'll be in that 40. I could get into that 49, 50-inch range. Yeah, so I'm enjoying the model of the model, Alan, and I'll do a video of the model of the model. It's a lot of fun. And in fact, I have another, the other side of the layout is not done. My model layout is not done because on here I want to, Derek, I'm glad you got that. Glad you got the, thanks for letting me know. I've been shipping those things out and into the void. I didn't know anybody got it. So on this side, I'm going to, I'll color it in with some track. Maybe I'll put a couple of structures on there just to simulate the railroad. I'll paint the backdrop. This maybe take me an hour to get all those things. But this is the idea. So, and you notice what I've done is I put one of the cross members on the bench work to run right across the top of the barrel. So I'll be able to then strap the bench work rather to the barrel. And maybe incorporate some sort of shock absorption in between the bench work and the barrel there. So I could rim the barrel or where the cross members cross the top of the barrel, put some rubber in there to absorb vibration and sound. Because I am worried that these drums might be noisy. That's my worry. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to test that. Okay, so Mike is saying I need a scale size bob in order to test the ergonomics. Well, your wish is my command. There's a scale size Bob. He's got a cell phone in his hand because he's using Bluetooth control to control a dead railroad. And this gives you an idea. I'm going to move Bob a little bit because you can't really see how he relates to the height here. So there you can see it's basically at his midsection. I've got to say, boy, James is doing his homework and fighting for the traditional carpentry approach, and I appreciate that, James. The beauty of that would be, and my wife said, spend all the money you want on this, by the way. Or did I pick right or did I? But I don't want to break the bank building bench work. Nor do I want to take the time to build all that. This way, all I have to do is build the frame, which I was going to build anyway. So here you can see that basically holding a cell phone as a controller at a comfortable height is right at the height of the bench work. So it's a little bit lower than what I had planned. And imagine that being about 6 inches higher. And I think that's, yeah, it's a little bit higher than belly button height. A little bit higher than belly button height. Hello, Mark at M&M Rails. No, this is 1/20th scale. Wait. This little model is 1/20th scale, 1 inch. So this little 3D printed Bob, who didn't come out very well on my FDM printer, I got to say, pretty bad, really. And also, for some reason, the AI accentuated my belly. I do not have a big gut like that. I don't know what. Rose took some pictures. I just fed him into, I think, meshy, and I got a. I didn't see Mason Dixon's rule. Hey JJ, how you doing? Yeah, thank you, sir. I enjoyed the mock-up process, and I learned some things. Where to position cross braces, how this was really going to work. Um, yes, all right, Ray, it is a dad bod. Stronger than I've ever been, frankly, in terms of what I can lift at the gym, but what can I tell you? My abdominal muscles separated because I had a big gut. I was eating too much, and my abdominal muscles separated. Once that happens, can't get them to go back together again. Can't do it. So that's what. Yeah, there you go, Russ. I don't have a previous layout to scavenge materials from. I did scavenge materials from this shop, though. So this pink foam insulation, I've got 3-inch slabs of that, maybe enough to do the entire layout. I just have a huge amount. Because this room that I'm in now had 2 layers of 3-inch foam on it. So as much that I could salvage, it was in good sized pieces that didn't have black mold on it. I've salvaged. So I do have that, and I salvaged a little bit of wood. I have some 4x4 posts, James, but only 7 or 8. So I don't have enough to build the whole layout. So there you have it. This is kind of my model of what my current thinking is about making a. Okay, Derek. I hear you. But at any rate, the STS guys have been pitching in with a lot of ideas. And I think it was Ray, and thank you, Ray, for thinking so actively about my problems, who said, hey, just put aggregate in there. You don't have to pour concrete down there. I think that's a great idea if it's not significantly more expensive, because then disposal might be simplified, right? You could get rid of the aggregate. Somebody probably want it. You could bust the barrels open and get rid of the aggregate. I'll be dead. I won't really care, but I should at least be thinking about my sons and what they're going to have to do. So, important things to note here. The bench work in the average straight section, I'm going to have my bench work 36 inches wide. The drum is 24 inches. So that means I've only got a 6-inch overlap. So that seems to me to be, I think that's going to be a pretty good support. Going to be a pretty good support. I've obviously got to get it fastened to that. And it's not like I can't access the bottom of the layout. I don't anticipate running a lot of wiring under there. I'm not going to run a conventional PowerTrack DC. This is going to be cold rail. And so I'm not going to have a lot of wiring under there. But yeah, Tom, thank you. I looked at that, Tom. I looked at plastic drums, and they're much more expensive. Much more. So for economy, and also I thought for weight, although you're right, if you fill them up with water, they would weigh an unbelievable amount. But I think the metal is going to be a little more serviceable. I can drill into it without fear of breaking structural integrity, causing a leak. But I'm open. I'm open to thinking about that, Tom. And you can buy used plastic barrels. They're just not they're not readily available the way the steel drum. Steel drums are hundreds of them available here in Pittsburgh, hundreds and hundreds. So it's not really it's easy to get them. But yeah, that would be certainly solid. I would not have to worry about acoustics. Oh, you do, Day. You get free plastic drums. Wow. Hmm. Interesting. Well, I don't know. That's possible. I didn't find them online, but I found these insulation containing steel drums readily available all over the place, 3 or 4 locations. So, so only 15 minutes left more in the broadcast. So man, it is getting hot in here. Correct, JJ. I was just going to put 50 pounds of cement in there. And honestly, I don't even have to add water. I can just put the dry cement in there. If it weighs 50 pounds, it weighs 50 pounds. It's just more about weight, holding them down, and trying to uh, kill reverberations. Excuse me, I'm going to go open this window, get a little cold air in here. Operating too. My hot air is apparently causing issue. You thought I'd be opening a window in Pittsburgh anywhere. It's cold out there. That feels better. So, um, okay, Mark, barrels just because it's cheap and quick. Barrel is $5. 50 pounds of concrete is $5. So for 20 bucks, I have a 10-foot module elevated. Maybe there's a few fasteners, maybe some rubber, maybe some feet. There's a few other, so maybe it's $30. But I've elevated 10 feet of my layout, and I still have to elevate another 70 feet. So it's an economy thing. It's an economy thing. But I'm excited about doing it. I'll have to see. Again, I'm in a totally different situation than most of you, right? I've got my own shop, concrete floor. It's a workspace. It doesn't have to fit into my living situation, right? Most of you have got uh, your layout in your home. People are going to come downstairs in your home and they're not going to see concrete drums. And of course, nobody's going to see concrete drums in my layout either. I'm going to drop layout skirting around there. Between those drums, I'll be able to put plastic totes full of models and supplies and cover them up with the skirting. So it'll be a neat appearance. No one will know that my layout is sitting on steel drums. They'll be hidden. So that's kind of, and speed, right? I can have, subject to weather impacting my ability to get the drums filled, I could have 20 drums tomorrow and be laying them out. So, okay. So that was fun. Now, let me thank you for your ideas and your insights. So, no need for concrete, 2 bags of rock. Yeah, exactly. JJ, the issue with that is getting it into the drum, right? You got that bunghole, but it's only an inch or 2 inches in diameter, maybe. You've got to get the material in there. And I don't know if the lids are going to pop off these. So we'll have to see. Again, that's Sparky. My shop is 2,000 square feet. This is a great segue. Let me pull up the map. So you can see how I planned out. Okay, so I don't know if that's, I don't know how to raise this up. I'm not sure you all can see the bottom of the layout plan or not. That probably made it worse, right? Can't seem to shrink this. Well, at any rate, you can kind of see roughly, uh, sorry if you can't see everything. If I open it with another program. That didn't work. Well, at any rate, this is the back side of the shop. You can see that's the corner of my wife's office. This is one half of the my workshop space, and we'll put you to sleep, Nancy. We'll put you to sleep. Uh, so this is a big island layout. These gray lines here are basically the exterior dimensions of the space that I'm going to fill with the layout. Over here where my cursor is, the rest of the shop is on this side. The front door is right here where my cursor is. There's another, whoops. Okay. There's another door down here. My wife is going to have some office space in here. This is 12 feet by, I don't know, 155 inches. So 155 inches by 144 inches. This is positioned so she gets 2 of the 4 windows on this outside wall in her office. So she can grow plants, have light to work in, etc. And this is the layout, that plan that I've described before. It needs some refinement, admittedly. The blue lines on here represent, and I couldn't figure out how to curve that any more elegantly. It'll be curved, but that is the backdrop. Okay. Sorry, I'm not really looking at the camera. I apologize. But that is the backdrop. Those red circles that you see, those are the drums. Those are the drums. Now, the gray line is the track. There is not, Derek. On the on this side where my cursor is now, that's open to the rest of the shop. There's an outside wall to the shop over here, and down here, I'm sorry, I can't make this image any smaller so you can see the whole thing. There's an exterior wall down there as well. But this is open to the shop, open to the shop on this side. Now, hey, Nancy, you got a working layout. Or you got a working layout. So, so it's an island layout. Okay. This is, and the bench work is obviously going to extend a little bit beyond here, beyond the gray line. So I may need to collapse this down a little bit to keep out exterior wall clearances down, right? Because each one of these squares is a foot, is 1 square foot. So I may need to collapse the layout down a little bit this way, you know, reduce this. Like this is, you know, 5 feet across, basically, maybe 4 feet. That may have to be reduced some. But I figured I would do an island layout. I could go around the walls, but I don't. I've got the space to do an island, and thinking about the future and my kids having to get rid of this monstrosity, I think an island is going to be a little bit easier to move around. And so that's my thinking. So that's my current idea, and I'm very excited about this idea. I really. So this week I'm going to get two drums, and I'm going to start learning about how to use those drums. What kind of, you know, can I buy some rubber and maybe put a rim of rubber around the top of the drum, or at least where the cross members of my framework are going to hit the drum. That'll reduce sound. How am I going to latch that to the drum? Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that coming from you. You are one of the master layout planners in the group, I think. So yeah, well, around the walls, I only have a couple of walls to work with, and I don't want to attach things to the walls. And I'd end up with a pretty big peninsula. So I'm pretty set on this. I got to acknowledge my limitations. I can't, there's only so much I can do. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm really excited about this. I want to spend a few minutes talking about my other New Year's resolution. So I'm going to switch my view back over to my desktop. Thank you all for your ideas and for thinking about my layout along with me. I really appreciate it. Boy, this cold air coming in this window. Never thought I'd say that. All right, so here we are back to Mini Bob. So yeah, the limitations of FDM printing came through loud and clear on this. Way too many layer lines. Even on a figure this size, it's probably, can't remember how many millimeters tall, but pretty tall. So that was resolution number one. Get trains running by the end of the year. So in order to do that, I have to have the layout built. And so, so that's, yeah, Derek, it's a big layout. It's probably bigger than it should be. So my other resolution, excuse me one moment. My other resolution, as you recall, is to get on the market with two 3D printed products. Sure. One is going to be a structure, and it's going to be this ice dispensing building that you see all across the country. And so I've been refining this 3D design. And so this was an earlier model. This is a later model. I haven't got the decals on it yet, but I've thinned down the walls. I've changed how it's put together. And I'll show you some of those changes really quickly. So this is how the model is going to be sent to a buyer. There'll be some paper for the okay, Sparky, yeah, bigger is better. Well, I want to get it somewhat finished. Yeah, but 2x4s are going to be more expensive, Joe, and it's going to take more time. I can roll these freaking drums in here, and I immediately have a 34-inch tabletop built. You know, that's you're kicking me out of the shed club. Why? Because I don't have a shed? Because I have a whole building? Okay, I guess I don't belong. So at any rate, this is how the model itself is going to be given to the consumer. And I've started printing it in white. I've currently got my brothers building these, but I would consider a few other test builders, James. I'll get with you. Get with you. But it's printed in white PLA, except for the air conditioning units, which are usually going to be another color anyway. Yeah, it might be too big. Yeah, Dwight, I'm a iconoclast. I want to be different. I want to do it. I want to experiment. I want to learn. I don't want to follow the crowd. You know? So here's the redesigned base of the layout, and as you can see, I put these ridges here inside the on the top of the base. That way, when you're mounting the sides onto the base, just snug them up to that little ridge, and it'll hold it in an almost perpendicular angle. So you can glue this on, and then when you put the other side on, it automatically squares up. No, you can't really see that over my, but it automatically squares up. You snug those up, glue them together, and it's already at right angles, right? And the top, I put similar ridges in the top piece. So that way that'll snap down on top. And I then had to cut out a hole in the top of the roof for an air conditioning unit because I'm printing this flat on the print bed. That's right, Derek. And there are a lot of these. The surprising thing about these ice houses, White was telling me they have these things in Minnesota. They dispense fresh water. These are common in Texas. I see these all over the place. Florida, they're all over the place. And they're not, Polar Ice is a fictitious company that I made this artwork up. But the building is a fairly close copy of an existing prototype. So I had to redesign the roof. Good night, Closet Branch. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you coming by. I see it's 9:01. I won't be much longer, guys. Gals, I appreciate it. So since I was printing this upside down, get these ridges on it, I couldn't have the air conditioning unit sticking out of the top for the printing process. So I just made a hole in there, and then I separately printed the rooftop air conditioner with to create a little pedestal. So that just snaps into that hole. Well, the hole needs to be cleaned out. You need to take a number 7 blade and clean out the flashing in there, but it snaps into that a little bit. It's not going in all the way because I haven't cleaned up these parts. This is exactly the way the kit would be sent to the consumer. The consumer's going to have to, builder's going to have to clean that. Oh yeah, Dave, that's right. Popular campground. Right. That makes sense. So that gives you the one central air conditioner unit. Then this other air conditioning unit sits here above the, you can see this is where the power comes into the building and it goes up the wall. And there's 2 other cooling units that go here. But really, the point of what I wanted to talk about today, really, and there should be a little more space there, was just to show the redesign of the unit. So now the seams for the ends, where the ends meet side walls, the seams are on the long walls where it's easier to reach them to sand and fill and make that smooth if you want to do that. Oh, sorry, Dwight. So I redesigned the kit. I mean, I guess let me show you the old kit. So here's the old kit that I printed in gray. And honestly, I've got to tell you, this thinking like a manufacturer has been a really cool experience. I've really enjoyed it. So one of the things I did was I thinned down the walls. So you can see here, these are the same sides. And I thinned down the walls significantly so that there would be less seam work to do. It would kind of disappear. So they're much thinner. That's the primary difference. Here the roof, I could cast this in place, but the bottom was just flat. So it wasn't as easy for the builder to. Good point, Derek. I've drafted instructions, and I've got my brothers working on building. I'll go back to my, show you these monsters. So just a brief change here. Here's a picture of me and my brothers. I'm on the left, I'm the oldest. And the middle brother is in the middle, Eric. Peter, my younger brother, on the right. Peter is an N-scale guy, although he hasn't had an operating layout in many decades, but he used to have an N-scale layout when he lived in Gettysburg. And this is us, obviously, in our youth. I don't know, I was 10 or 12. I don't know how old I was, maybe younger. But we have in our laps plastic model kits to build. We're so excited. And these are my test builders. My brothers are currently building test units, and I'm getting ready to send them version 2 printed in white PLA. So that's my current test community. So that's got, resolution number 2 was get 2 3D printed models on the market. I'm reading comments here real quickly. Sorry. Oh, Randall's here. Hey, Randall, I didn't see you come in. I didn't see you come in. But so there are directions, Derek. I've created some directions. I'm also going to do a build video and put it on the Scale Model Works YouTube channel. I do have a Scale Model Works YouTube channel. These will be marketed under Scale Model Works, and I'll have a video out there showing people how to put it together as well. So, so I'm making progress there. Now, sorry to be turning around, but I said the resolution was 2 models. So I basically got this model close, right? Building the website is going to be a high P to factor exercise, but I'll get it done because I think I want to sell it on my own. Okay, Randall, didn't want to miss you out there, my friend. Hope everything's going well. That's right, Derek. The little brother has, and he's still the smallest brother. Actually, he's not as tall as my brother Eric and I, but he also has a full head of hair. Damn it! And Eric and I are both in that condition. Uh, James, I am using the Elegoo Century Carbon, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. $299. Yeah, I didn't want to. I'm trying. Remember that. Al. I'm hearing you, Al. But remember that survey we went over. Most people enjoy the assembly process. So this little structure, I can print this right out of the machine. You. Oh, okay, Derek. I won't tell him that. He said he has a great wife, a great marriage, great daughters. He's really been blessed. And my littlest brother, he's now retired, but he spent his entire year working in the microbrew industry. Shit. I had it made. Working in the beer industry his entire life? Oh, come on. How can it be? Can it get any better than that? But back to Al's comment. I could print this whole thing. It's not very big, right? I mean, what is it? 2.5 inches long. I mean, this would be no problem. You could print this entire thing as a separate unit, as one unit. But where would the fun be in that? There's no assembly. People like to assemble. So that's why I'm making it with these little parts that go on. It'll also allow for a little creativity. People can put the air conditioning units where they want, just a little, allowing a little variation. I think people like that. They like to be able to customize. So they can put an awning on or they can not put an awning on. Sorry about that. Speaking of awnings, here's the paper awning. I'll be giving different types of paper awnings that go on there. And the awning obviously goes over where the ice dispensing end of the building goes. So it attaches, it's paper, so it needs to be folded and glued on this end of the ice house, like that. And this decal needs to be lower. I screwed up. When I did this one, I put the decal too high. I've learned, I've changed the decal sheet to reflect that. So put this over there. The other thing that needs to be done, yes, Century Carbon, James, that's it. Yes, Derek, the kit will come with decals and paper awnings. Decals and paper awnings. Hang on. Most of my decals are being, but here's a sample of some of the decal. This is more than enough. This is like enough to do two. But also I'll be cutting this out and sending decals along with the kit. So you get the decals, get the awning, get the parts to assemble the little ice house building. So I think it's a fun little project. Good night, Nancy. Thanks for being here. And as I said in a previous broadcast, I had a blast using AI to make this polar ice polar bear. And the font that's used on here, that crystal clear, is actually the font for the movie Ice Age. I thought that was funny. And so, there you are. So, these air conditioning units need to be painted a slightly different color. That green didn't really come out well. But, it's coming right along. I've got 3 or 4 samples that are in this condition. I need to get awnings on them. I need to paint the ice chutes silver. This little section right here is that is the automated thing that takes your credit card in order to buy ice, and the ice gets dispensed out of these chutes here. Bagged ice coming out of one place, shorter, and loose ice to fill up your cooler coming out of that bigger chute. Basically, that's it. Not a complex kit, pretty easy build. I do make the decals myself. I have Micromark sells the decal paper. After I've designed the decals, I go to FedEx Kinko's and I print the decals out. I've got 5 pages of decals that are in the process of being covered with clear coat. Once I get them printed at Kinko's, I come back, I tape them on a big sheet of cardboard, and I use a rattle can of Krylon clear to cover those up, acrylic clear gloss, cover those up, and you're going to have to cut them out. Unlike mass-produced decals, homemade decals, the whole sheet is a decal. You have to cut around each item in order to apply it, but it works, as you can see. These come out really great against a white background like that. They really come out very nice. Oh yes, and these, power boxes need to be painted gray or some contrasting color. Those are molded into the side. You can see that's a power meter. It's got a little cylindrical area that if you want to, you can try and replicate the power meter. So that's kit 1. It's coming right along. This is kit 2, and I'm sorry it's kind of falling apart. I haven't glued it together yet. But this is a waterline model of a tugboat. Pusher tugboat, and these little things are the bumpers that push up against the side of the barge or whatever it is that they're pushing. I have some of these parts here. And the second stage of there's the door to get into the tug. And this is the first story of the superstructure of the tug. You get the idea. On top of this, there's a glassed-in enclosure where the pilot hears there's another story on this tower. And then there's some exhaust stacks and things that I need to build for the back. But it's basically a very simple It's a simple boat. See how that's coming together. So this has been uh, a big 3D design challenge. Get the upper part of this done. Been a challenge. I need to break it down into parts and just have people put it together. I've been trying too hard, have it print as one piece. Just too complicated. So, but there it is. So this has a little guide, as you can see in the on the surface of the hull. It's got a little raised area so that when you drop the first floor of the bridge on, it fits right on top of that. And you can also see that there are scuppers in there. There are holes in the deck on the back and the sides where water can escape. So these are what are called towable tugboats. You can actually put these on a 12 feet wide. You can put this on a flatbed trailer and tow them around. So simple design, rounded front here, squared in the back. Um, James, in terms of printer recommendations, people love Bambu. I'm going to tell you, my impression is that Bambu is the Apple of 3D printers. If you buy Bambu, you're going to pay a premium price for it, but you're going to get support and incredible infrastructure. It's a great product, just like an Apple phone. I didn't want to spend that much money. For the price of a Bambu printer, I got two Elegoo printers, fully enclosed. Um, they're still the best deal around, Elegoo. And honestly, this printer has been working for me nonstop since August. Have I had a couple of little problems? Sure, but nothing that stopped me in my tracks. And in fact, the experience was so good, I bought a second one. It's still sitting there in the box. I'll have to get it out as I get my shop more organized. I'll get the second printer out and running. But my experience with Elegoo has been outstanding. Outstanding. So, hello, Darren. How are you doing? Glad to see you here. I'm kind of on my last run here, but right. Get the A1. Now, the Elegoo is you for $300. I don't know how they do it. It's an enclosed, comes in a beautiful enclosure. It's it's outstanding. I highly recommend the Elegoo, but Bambu will give you more support, James. It just depends upon how much you want to think about things. And designing, this is another level, okay? To get to the point where you're actually designing your own things is a bit of a challenge. And we've done a lot of talks on 3D printing. I'm going to turn this into a 3D printing show, as much as I love that. But that isn't what everybody was anticipating. We've done that in the past. But Meshi AI will allow you to make 3D models from a picture. That's exactly what I did here. I did not model this organic shape in a 3D modeling program. This went into Meshi AI, one photograph, and it came up with this model. And I didn't make any changes. I wanted to, primarily reducing the waistline. But okay, 400 Canadian. Yeah. So I'm so happy with mine. This has been a 3D. Good night, Deep Run. Good night, Mike. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support, buddy. Um, okay, JJ. Thanks. I appreciate it. No, I'm glad you were here at all. I really appreciate it, JJ. Have a good night and a good week. Make it a great week. So with Meshi AI, you too can create this figure, print it with an filament print. So, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. You've seen resolution number one progress on the layout coming along. Resolution number 2, get two 3D models to market. I'm making progress there as well. So exciting stuff. I'm really enjoying the hobby, and I'm really thankful for your support and your ideas. If you have any ideas later and you want to shoot them to me, please do so. My email address is on my About page on YouTube, and I welcome communicating with you. Love the community, love the support. Thank you all for being here and sticking it out this long. So I will go ahead and end the stream unless there are any other questions or comments in the chat that anybody has any burning questions or issues, fire away. Can somebody tell me the score of the Rams at the Bears? Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for being here. That's right, Ray. I'm sorry. I should have let me post that. Come on. Here's the so Rick has got next week. And good night, Thomas. Take care, sir. Thanks again for your Wednesday shows. Really enjoys 1710 Rams. Darn it. Thanks, JD. Thanks, Ed. Have a great week, man. Have a great week. Hope working nights doesn't take too much energy out of you. So this is the schedule for January. You can see Rick is back, and he will be having the stream on the 25th of January next week. And just for grins, here's the February schedule. Ray's got the first show, Rick again, then Brian at the Iron Horse, and I will have the last show. And I don't know, I have to check and see. I've been invited to that operating session. It might be on the 22nd. I'll have to see what time it is. Maybe I could live stream from the operating session. I have to think about that. Good night, JD. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And again, take care. Make sure you spend some time on your bench this week or on your layout, doing some work on that and doing some hobby activities. You will be glad you did. I assure you, you will be glad you did. So until next time, Bob Johnson with PKNW Model Works signing off. Keep on modeling.